Your average person assumes that every cake that's sculpted is an instant showstopper. This is simply not true. In this video, I'm going to show you some effective and cost-efficient techniques to do awesome cakes. So in this first cake design, it's a very elegant presentation. But if the top is empty, it's going to appear very blank. So in this first cake, we're going to show you a very effective way to add that wow factor that you're looking for, but also not have to pay that much money for. It's actually pretty amazing doing something as simple as a bow and how it can add texture as well as bring that cake alive. So right now I'm just kind of sculpting your typical basic bow. And usually when you walk into a store, you're going to pay roughly anywhere from $5 to $15 tops for something like this. There you have it, folks. Simple, yet truly effective. I think I like it. So for this next cake, I'm going to show you more of an intermediate level, but still cost-effective method to really bring that wow factor to your cake. Now, essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm sculpting a Rice Krispie fondant topper. Why I like doing these opposed to, say, your average fully sculpted cake is that you still have to remember flavor. When you take that cake to the party, it may look really great, but if all people remember about the cake is, man, that was super sugary sweet because of all the fondant, the cake underneath is going to get lost. So by doing this technique, you can actually create a fondant topper that could be disassembled or taken off a cake, so you can still cut in and taste the raw elements of that cake. Typically when I'm sculpting something like this, the cost can vary depending on the size of the cake as well as what I'm sculpting. But usually the most you're going to pay, depending on size of the cake, is anywhere from like $50 to $65. But remember, the smaller the cake, the more cost-effective doing the Rice Krispie topper is going to be. So that's something to consider when you're ordering a cake. As an artist, I love doing these pieces. It's actually really fun for me to really push myself to get more detail than I could ever imagine. So don't think that by doing something like this, you're not going to get your money's worth as well. Whenever I'm doing these pieces, it's always my main goal to just really wow the customer, to really show them that I've put a level of care into their work. And you also want to get your money's worth. So I think that's fair. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm doing just a very simple design for a microphone cake. So I'm really paying attention to detail here. Now, real quick, guys, I just want to make one thing clear. As an artist, when someone comes in and just really wants to dazzle their guests and really wants to create a certain feeling for the person they're buying a cake for, I'm totally for doing an all sculpted cake. But a lot of times, you know, when you walk into a store or any place of business or even someone out of their home, yeah, they want to give you a good deal, but you're also paying for their time and the quality and level of artistry that they put into their work. So when you take that into account, you're gonna get your money's worth. But at the same time, I think what happens a lot of times is the work and the art really translates well, but people still have to eat the cake. So again, I think this is a very cost-effective way to still do a level of artistry that stands out, but also have your guests love the cake as well. What I will say too about Rice Krispie toppers versus doing pure fondant, you can get away with a lot more because they're typically not super heavy. Now obviously if you're doing a larger piece, you have to worry about weight, but typically it's a great way to do 3D artwork without really having to put a lot of weight on top of that cake. Now, typically with Rice Krispie toppers versus, say, doing pure fondant is you're gonna get away with a lot more with a lot less. And that's what I like about doing it. And plus, it's just fun doing. Another thing too to mention is these are instant crowd pleasers with kids at parties. You can take this off and disassemble your cake when it's ready to serve your party. And a lot of times you can either keep it or you can give it to the kids because it's typically just fondant on top of Rice Krispies, so you can cut into it. I will say too that fondant, I've actually tasted it. It is super sweet. I mean, majority of it is sugar anyway. So less is more. So at this point, all that's left to do is finishing touches with buttercream, and voila, that's the finished product, guys. See what I mean? Super effective and cheap. Thanks again, guys, for watching this video, and if you like this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And next week, we're going to show a more extensive view of doing simple yet effective techniques for a Woodlands themed cake.